Coilfang Reservoir. Before long, the Alliance and the Horde had forged into the murky swamp of Zangarmarsh. The Draenei who had joined the Alliance were eager to reconnect with those whom they'd left behind on Outland, and many of them dwelled in Zangarmarsh. The Alliance forces soon gathered at the sanctuary of Teldredor, the largest Draenei stronghold in the region. From Teldredor's Draenei, the Alliance learned many unsettling things. Conditions in Zangarmarsh were rapidly deteriorating. Disease had spread among plants and animals alike. Food sources were vanishing, driving the local creatures into a frenzy. Nearby tribes of Broken were disappearing, never to be seen again. Lady Vash and her Naga were the cause of Zangarmarsh's troubles. The efforts to drain its waters had upset the region's delicate ecosystem. Nature was in upheaval, and it would only continue to unravel unless something was done. The Alliance did not hesitate. Its champions stormed into the Naga's watery fortress, Coilfang Reservoir. Much like the Horde's attack on Megtheridon in Hellfire Citadel, the Alliance's assault on Coilfang Reservoir exacted a heavy toll from the invaders. The stronghold was filled with diseased wildlife and Lady Vash's most fearsome Naga warriors. Enslaved Broken also roamed Coilfang Reservoir, and nearly all of them welcomed the promise of freedom. The Alliance's forces shattered their bonds as they charged through the Nagas' fortress. Lady Vash was the last to fall to the Alliance's blades. With her death, Coilfang Reservoir was no longer a threat. Though it would take time, balance would return to Zangarmarsh. Teldredor's inhabitants were now safe to expand across the region. The Fallen Sun. In time, the Horde and the Alliance reached Atrath City. Updal rejoiced at their arrival. Velen's daring escape to Azeroth had paid off. The Naru now had allies to protect Outland from the Legion. Atrath became a pivotal staging ground for the Horde and the Alliance. Trade flourished between the people of Azeroth and many of Outland's creatures. Though weapons and armor were exchanged, the most valuable thing that the Horde and the Alliance discovered in Atrath was information. Much of it came from Archmage Khadgar. He had become an influential figure in the city. Though he was a member of the Alliance, he knew the Horde also had a crucial role to play in determining Outland's fate. He sought to bridge the divide between the factions and armed them with knowledge about Illidan Stormrage's domain. Some of Azeroth's defenders gradually converged on Shadowmoon Valley, site of the Black Temple. There, the Alliance rallied with the other heroes from the Sons of Lothar. Cordron Wildhammer and his fellow dwarves had forged a stronghold in Shadowmoon Valley. From it, they watched the Black Temple and reported what they saw to Khadgar. Khadgar knew that rifts had formed between the Betrayer and its lieutenants, most notably Kael'thas Sunstrider. The Blood Elf had abandoned Illidan Stormrage and left him with little in the way of an army to defend himself. That did not seem to trouble Illidan. Sightings of the Demon Hunter had become increasingly rare. Khadgar was unsure about Illidan's activities, but he knew the time was drawing near to attack the Black Temple. There was little opposition to his plan among the Horde and the Alliance. Illidan had almost destroyed Zangarmarsh. He had used Megtheridon to corrupt hundreds of orcs. If he were left to his own devices, it was only a matter of time before he caused some other calamity. Yet, the heroes of Azeroth were not ready to besiege the Black Temple. Most of their forces were still scattered across Outland. Many were gathering at the Netherstorm, particularly the Horde's Blood Elves. In Atrath, they had learned about Kael'thas Sunstrider's fate. It was worse than what they had expected. News had spread that their prince had pledged himself to the Burning Legion. Some Blood Elves did not believe the stories, at least not at first. When they ventured to the Netherstorm, they saw the truth with their own eyes. Kael'thas had embraced Fel magic and become the Legion's pawn. He was their prince no more. Word of this discovery reached Lorthar Martheron and the other ranking elves in Quel'Thalas. The news broke their hearts, but they came to a consensus. Kael'thas was lost. It was their duty to vanquish him and end his treachery. The Horde made war on Arthas and his followers. The battle spread into Tempest Keep and engulfed every corner of the dimensional fortress. It was there where the prince made his final stand. It was there where some of his own loyal subjects spilled his blood and ended his reign. Yet, unbeknownst to the Horde, Kael'thas Sunstrider did not die. Kil'jaeden had expected the prince's defeat, and he had prepared accordingly. Kael'thas' demonic alliance spirited him away and brought him back from the brink of death. Little was left of the elf's mind. He was now Kil'jaeden's loyal servant, and he would do whatever his master asked of him. While the Horde of the Alliance directed their forces to the Black Temple, Kael'thas and his legion comrades journeyed through the dark portal toward the Sunwell. Siege of the Black Temple. Illidan Stormrage was running out of time. Alongside forces from Shattrath City, the Horde and the Alliance had arrived at the Black Temple's walls and begun their siege. Illidan's defenses were sound, but they would not hold for long. Desperation consumed him. He had learned Argus's location, but powerful enchantments surrounded the world, preventing him from opening a gateway there. A means to reach the Legion's seat of power lay in the shattered world of the twisting nether known as Mardin. Illidan had discovered that this broken land was home to an invaluable artifact. It was called the Sagyarite Keystone, and it could open the way to Argus. As his enemies breached the Black Temple and poured into the fortress, Illidan made a choice. He could not simply abandon Outland. After retrieving the Sagyarite Keystone, he would need to return to prepare for the assault on Argus. Instead, he set his demon hunters to martyrdom, and he remained in the Black Temple to fend off his foes. He hoped that what was left of his followers would hold back the tide. They could not. A unified army of Horde, Alliance, and Shattrath City forces carved its way through the Black Temple. Some of Illidan's servants fought to the death, some fled in terror, and others took the assault as an opportunity to turn on the betrayer. Akama was one of them. His time serving Illidan had been full of suffering and disappointment. When the siege had begun, he had freed Maeve Shadowsong from her prison and urged her to strike at Illidan. She needed little convincing. Maeve set out on her own, while Akama helped Azeroth's champions enter the heart of the Black Temple. She eventually joined the invaders as they confronted Illidan, and she struck at the betrayer to quench her long-held thirst for justice and vengeance. Illidan Stormrage called on all his power and knowledge to overcome his attackers. He fought not only to save himself, but to keep his war against the Legion alive. His conviction never faltered, but that was not enough to grant him victory. In the end, he fell. It was a cruel twist of fate that heroes from the very world Illidan sought to protect were the ones to kill him and cut short his war against the demons. In his final moments, his thoughts turned to his old nemesis. He knew that his defeat would ruin Maeve Shadowsong. She had spent much of her life acting as his jailer and hunter. Now that her quest was over, she had lost her purpose. Illidan's demon hunters returned from Mardin with the Sagyarite Keystone, only to witness their master's fall. Maeve quickly subdued them. She froze the demon hunters and Illidan's corpses in enchanted crystals. They were too dangerous to abandon, and so Maeve transported them back to Azeroth for safekeeping. She would later lock them away in the Vault of the Wardens, a closely guarded prison on the Broken Isles. Outland was free of Illidan Stormrage and his army. Yet, before the Horde and the Alliance could celebrate, dire news reached them. Kael'thas Sunstrider was not dead. He had rallied a force of corrupted elves and demons on Azeroth. Fury of the Sunwell. North of Zulaman, Kael'thas Sunstrider and his forces invaded Quel'Thalas. With most of his soldiers still in Outland, the kingdom could do little to stop the fallen prince. Under Kil'jaeden's orders, Kael'thas and his forces captured the Naru N'Uru and Avina Teague, the avatar of the Sunwell's energies. The prince leached away their power to reform the ruined Sunwell. A brilliant explosion of energy erupted from the fount, sparking it to life for the first time since the Third War. Kael'thas fortified his ritual with energy from the mana cells he had gathered in the Netherstorm. Kael'thas then began weaving the Sunwell's power into a gateway for Kil'jaeden to reach Azeroth. As he worked, some Blood Elves fled to Outland to warn the Horde leadership about what was transpiring. One of these elves was the Blood Knight Laedrin. She had witnessed Kael'thas' assault with her own eyes. In Shattrath City, Lady Liadrin met with Adal, renouncing her allegiance to Kael'thas and swearing to defeat the Legion. The Naru welcomed her into a new order that had been forged to stand against the prince. It was called the Shattered Sun Offensive, and it included both the Draenei of the Eldor and the Blood Elves of the Scryers. The Shattered Sun Offensive marched on the Sunwell and waged a fierce battle against the Legion forces in the area. Though constantly besieged by demons, Laedrin and her allies had an impact. They disrupted Kael'thas' spellwork long enough for more help to arrive. Members of the Horde and the Alliance soon converged on the Sunwell and stood alongside the Shattered Sun Offensive. Laedrin directed the Horde's champions to hunt down Kael'thas in the Magister's Terrace. Though the prince had grown more powerful since his defeat at Tempest Keep, so had the heroes he faced. The Horde slew Kael'thas' Sunstrider and ended him once and for all. Meanwhile, the Alliance infiltrated the Sunwell Plateau, which housed the Sunwell itself. Kael'thas' spellwork had torn a rift in the fount's depths. Before the Alliance's eyes, Kil'jaeden emerged from the portal and into the world. The Alliance soldiers fought with all their strength to drive Kil'jaeden back through the portal, but their efforts had little effect. In the end, it was Avina Teague who turned the tide of battle. She sacrificed her own existence, expanding on what was left of her energy to weaken Kil'jaeden. It was just enough for the Alliance to finally banish the Demon Lord and close his gateway into Azeroth. The world was spared from the Legion once more, but there were consequences. Kael'thas' meddling had tainted the Sunwell. As before, corruptive energies coursed through the fount, and they would soon spread throughout Quel'Thalas and engulf the Blood Elves. Lord Thamar Theron and his followers considered destroying the Sunwell again, but another solution presented itself. Velen had come to the Sunwell to pay his respect to Uru. Little was left of the Naru, save its heart. Velen sensed a glimpse of power, of hope, in what remained of Uru. He used the Naru's heart to cleanse the Sunwell and transform it into a fount of holy light and arcane magic. Its brilliant energies blazed across land and sky for all in Quel'Thalas to see. This turn of event had a profound effect on the Blood Elves, particularly Lady Laedrin and her Blood Knights. They abandoned wielding holy energies by force and returned to their old ways. Through the Sunwell, they would ask for the light's blessing. The Sunwell was reborn, and its return heralded a promising future for the Blood Elves. With the fount to draw on, they no longer needed to look elsewhere to satisfy their cravings for magic.